growing community, and that's what we do. We just talk, with teachers, because we are a community of teachers. And when we created this, we said, man, there's not a community of teachers, in especially in Mexico, right, that get together, talk about things that we usually talk in a teacher's lounge,
Exactly.
because we always are talking to our students. But do we talk amongst teachers? Maybe not as much as before, especially after the pandemic. We everybody's teaching online. We don't have that connection with teachers. So that was the excuse to create this teacher talk podcast. And
That's
thanks for.
amazing. That's amazing.
All right, all right. So, let me just heads up, because we're live, So,
Okay,
like, all
perfect.
right. So, can we start by introducing yourself, Lisette?
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Lisette. I'm Mexican. Uh, Good morning, Sol. I'm Mexico. I'll be teaching maybe more than 7 years. I have a degree in translation and interpretation in English, French, and Spanish. I'm also a English Cambridge certificate teacher. And well, I mix all these things that I love because I love languages. So I mix it all, and here I am teaching
Very.
English, French, Spanish because I don't have honestly that skill because it's really, really tough to teach Spanish to some, non Spanish speakers. So I'm not there yet.
All right, all right. I got it. Hey, so you learn English. I mean, you've been learning English ever since you were in high school. That was your first contact with English. And then what I understand, hi, from Somalia. We have a connect from Somalia. What's up? Like,
Hi.
so you started learning very early in life, and then at one point of life you decided, I want to become a teacher, and then you started training for that. What was that that made you, you know think about, maybe I could be a teacher? I love teaching.
Well, actually, it that sparkle of teaching it started way before. For example, my father doesn't speak a lot of English. He maybe understand it, but not so much. And we used to travel a lot. Yes, so he was like, tell him this or tell him that, or no, he used me like an interpreter in that moment.
All
And
right.
he told me, what, I would love to learn English. And I was like, well, maybe we can start a little bit. So I started to teaching him, basics, and he learned quickly. Not because I'm, his daughter, but he really learned it very quickly. So
Okay.
at that moment, I was like, you know what, I like this. Although I didn't have like in that moment the structure, the real way to teach, the method and so on. I didn't have that skills, kind of knowing it yet, but I was very interested in. So that's how it started. I had a few friends that they told me, you know what, my English level is not so great. Can you help me with it? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So that's how it started before having, the TDC course.
All right. So, as a student, what do you think is the best method? What do you think is the best program? What do you think are the best techniques to acquire the language?
Well, honestly, according to my personal experience, there's no specific method. I have my own personal method, and I think it's the one that I don't know, it approaches to the student because not everyone learns the same way. Not everyone has the same skill. Some people are more of hearing, some people are more of talking, others by writing, reading. It depends on the skill of the person. So what I personally do in my English classes is that I try to learn how does the student learn. What's their I don't know, their motivation too, because that's also very important. And how to like to find the best thing that suits the student. For example, if I have a kid, because I won't be showing the same method to a kid than a grown up or maybe a teenager because they have different approaches. So if I'm teaching a kid, maybe by songs, maybe by moving, because kids are like that. And I know, for example, that kids have a spam attention of 10 minutes. So I need to be very dynamic with them. And maybe with
Okay.
teenagers, I can be more, I don't know, use maybe a more structured method, but also depends on the student. So I don't think that there's a specific best method. Maybe you more yourself to the student. I think that would be the best method.
And what's the method you used to learn English?
The method I used was, the conventional one, like repeat, write, speak again. So it was for me very hideous. At some point, I was like, you know what, this is boring. I mean, I know to do the different tenses of the verb to be, but no one is actually telling me when I'm going to use them in the everyday life. So I was like, okay, may I know the structure, how to use it, but I need to know when, like go beyond that. So I was like, this is not working for everyone. At least it don't work for me. Although for net, it was for me the classes was terrible. So I was like, in my personal experience, that I'm more of a music person. I would love to learn more by listening to music, maybe interviews or watching a movie. So that's actually how
Okay.
I actually learn more than classroom,
Okay. And well,
because that's
this
another
question,
thing.
we always have this type of question. When to teach the verb to be? When do you teach the verb to be? And that's the first thing you teach. That's the second thing that you teach. You teach it later on, because me personally, I don't think that's the first thing you need to teach. I know some books, and most books start by the verb to be, but I don't. I start by sounds, then some vocabulary, then some structuring, then some verbs, then some positive, negatives, and then the verb to be. But I don't know what you think. When do you teach the verb to be?
Well, actually, yeah, me too. It's not the first thing that I use. For example, if I don't know, if the student is a teenager, I start with something that they don't teach us at school, which is phonetics. Because they don't, you never learn that. They only teach you, the same basics. Like if you have ed, it pronounce, and that's it. But I go deeper into phonetics, because if they believe that they can pronounce it better, they will try to, to improve themselves, to push them to go and try to, I don't know, to learn it better. But the main first thing that I personally teach phonetics, the different type of sounds, the difference of sounds between Spanish and speak French. Well, why not including French sounds to know the difference? So I'll start with that. Maybe the basics like colors, presentation, this kind of things. But I want to go beyond the conventional thing, because I can say in my experience that maybe the 70% of the things that I've learned from English, like the range, didn't come from a book or didn't come from a
Ah,
classroom. It was from going, from traveling, to hearing native English speakers. So that's how I
okay.
start with more than the verb to be with phonetics. Then small things like colors, presentations, all these small things, and then we start with the verb to be, not to
Okay.
push them to go not to push them to go quickly to the tenses, because they will get bored,
Mhm.
because I want
Oh,
to
yes.
have that same conventional method.
All right. All right. I like it. Adelina, what's up? Hi, teachers. Good afternoon. How you doing? Everything, Adelina part of the family too. Yeah.
Hi everyone.
All right. So, all right, let me give you
Oh,
so
nice
talking
to meet
about
you.
that, what's the importance of grammar, if, from your point of view?
Well, grammar is important. Well, of course, grammar is important, but I think we learn it little by little, not just like that. When you're a kid, or I don't know if you remember, but I used to have these grammar books, like grammar lab books and so on. And I
Okay.
was like, grammar again. So it wasn't so
Mm,
dynamic. It was very is not the essential sometimes, because if you go, for example, to the US, or any English speaking country, the
Right.
first thing that you learn is the speaking by hearing, rather than having it write it down and you can just read it. They start like that because you have then the need to talk, the pressure to talk and to communicate. So that's very important, to start communicating by memorizing some phrases. Although you may
Okay.
not understand like the whole grammar structure, then you will learn it. But the basics, I mean, is important, but maybe not the main thing when you're starting to learn
But can you get
English,
by, or can you
because
get to
that's
a
how
certain
you
point
can
without
learn.
grammar? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I interrupted. Yeah, but I thought it
I
was
don't
a
think
communication.
so. No,
No,
it's
you.
okay,
So
don't
you
worry.
have to go
There's
through
a small
grammar.
delay, so that's okay, don't worry.
Yeah. I'm sorry. All right.
Yes, I think it's important to go through grammar, but beginning, maybe not so early and so hard on the student.
Mm.
But yes, it is important to know grammar, because that way, if you understand your own language, which is something that I actually found that Spanish speakers don't really know their own language. So whenever you try to go to grammar or some verb tenses to English, they won't understand, or they will start to have this confusion, because you can learn a language that you don't know if in your mother tongue language, because you don't have any point to compare or to get an assimilation of the grammar according to your mother tongue language. So yes, it's important, but at the beginning maybe it's not the main thing at the beginning.
Definitely. Definitely. So, adding up to that question, what's the most important skill? Writing, reading, speaking, listening.
Oh my. Maybe I think as humans, it will be speaking and listening, because if you have a kid, the first thing that they will learn is speaking and listening. So that's how maybe you acquire the language. And maybe you
By
go through the
speaking.
different stages of
So
writing and reading,
speaking. So
speaking
speaking is
and
the most
listening.
important.
Well, if you're starting, maybe yes, because you're like, yes, now I know a new language and I know how to speak it, maybe a few phrases, but you get it very enthusiastic with this. So the student to want to learn more. So, basic, as I told you, if you're talking to a basic student, maybe,
Right.
the things like, how are you? What's your name? Small things like that. And listening, because they need to learn or to understand what they are asking them. So
Okay.
that's maybe like the beginning. Like when you are teaching a toddler, you first teach the toddler to speak, small phrases or words, key words,
Oh.
but they are working on their listening, and then you go through writing and reading.
Okay. Okay. Well, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. But then, man, we were having such a good conversation, but then we're gonna have this guy interrupting us because it's, you know, but that's the way it is. You know,
It's okay, don't worry.
like I said, there's three of us. Oscar Cruz is not here today,
It's okay.
but teacher Nisan is. So, how you doing, Nisan? Let me introduce you to Lizette Gonzalez. Good talk we're having. Good teacher talk we're having this morning. I mean, you're muted, but if you want to keep it that way, I don't have any trouble with it.
Hi, Lizette. I'm sorry. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I listened to your introduction. I was in a taxi
Hi,
and
it's okay, don't worry.
I watched the beginning of the show and where you introduce yourself and everything. I made it. I made it. So I'm here, ready to
All
be here.
right. All right, bro. We're talking basic teacher talk.
It's okay.
Adelina's commenting. I teach it after I'm probably she's going for the when to teach the verb to be or when to teach grammar. It says I teach it after verbs and subject pronouns. Yes, vocabulary, and then you can start talking, no? Probably. That's what it is. I have a video that I want to share with you guys because talking about that, I've changed my perception after watching this video because we always thought I've changed my mind many times in my teaching career. Sometimes I thought speaking was the most important, then reading, then probably listening. But now let's watch this video and tell me what you think. It's a short clip, it's not too long. So let's just watch it. It's Jordan Peterson talking about it. I know teacher Nathan will hate me because he hates Jordan Peterson, but he does have a point. So let's watch it and tell me what you guys think. Let's go.
The best thing you can do is teach people to write, because there's no difference between that and thinking. And one of the things that just blows me away about universities is that no one ever tells students why they should write something. It's like, well, you have to do this assignment. Well, why are you writing? Well, you need the grade. It's like, no, you need to learn to think, because thinking makes you act effectively in the world. Thinking makes you win the battles you undertake, and those could be battles for good things. If you can think and speak and write, you are absolutely deadly. Nothing can get in your way. So that's why you learn to write. It's like, and I can't believe that people aren't just told that. It's like, it's the most powerful weapon you could possibly provide someone with. And I mean, I know lots of people who've been staggeringly successful and watched them throughout my life. I mean, those people, you don't want to have an argument with them. They'll just slash you into pieces. And not in a malevolent way. It's like, if you're going to make your point and they're going to make their point, you better have your points organized, because otherwise you are going to look like and be an absolute idiot. You are not going to get anywhere.
So let's say you own a pencil factory. I'm a worker in that pencil factory. You can have all the machinery, you can buy all the raw materials you want, but without me, and presumably many others like me, to assemble the pencils, all you would have is a pile of wood, yellow paint, graphite, rubber.
What do you think put more in? The guy who spent millions of dollars buying all the machinery, leasing the place, making sure there was a management structure, doing the LLC formation, making sure all the tax code was in compliance, or you standing outside because you can stick a piece of graphite into a piece of wood? Now we're done.
If you can formulate your arguments coherently and make a presentation, if you can speak to people, if you can lay out a proposal, God, people give you money, they give you opportunities, you have influence. That's what you're at university for. And so that's what you do. Is you're in English, right? In languages anyways. It's like, yeah, teach people to be articulate, because that's the most dangerous thing you can possibly be. So, and that's motivating if people know that. It's like, well, why are you learning to write? Because here's your sword, here's your M16, right? Here's your bulletproof vest. Like, you learn how to use them. But it's an endless mystery to me why that isn't made self-evident. So that's the sort of thing that can drive you mad trying to sort out.
So I pretend to teach, and you pretend to learn.
It's like there's a conspiracy to bring people into the education system to make them weaker. So I guess that keeps the competition down. Maybe that's one way of thinking about it. If your students are stupid, they're not going to challenge you.
Ooh. All right. So the power of writing. After watching this video, after all the experiences you've had, let's start with Lizette, and then it's your turn, Lizette, and that's my turn. What you guys think about the power of writing?
Well, actually, I think it's a strong power to have, and it's important because you don't write the same way you speak, or at least not, it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't write the way you speak. When you write, I know that for sure, and as a fact, that when you write ideas or things that you want, you start to have more these new brain connections and so on. So it's very important to know writing, but not only in a language, just in general. And for example, my point of view, important because books are a great tool, and if you know how to write and you know how to read them, they can contain a lot of information that maybe you won't find it on videos or something like that in as much detail. As a translator, I can totally say that writing is extremely important, because if you have a coherent idea, it's easier to understand it and to pass that idea to another language. But if the idea is all mixed up, there won't be, no matter the target language, it won't have any sense. So the main point of the writing, which is to transmit an idea, a point of view, or I know the intention that the writer has, if it's not clear, it won't be clear to anyone. And also, it, you can see through that maybe it's not that clear in their head too. So writing is extremely important,
Right.
because I have some teachers that say, you know what, yes, but writing is not maybe that important. No, it's important. Of course it's important.
That's what he said, that writing is no different from thinking. I strongly agree with him. Okay.
Exactly.
Nathan, you have a comment on that?
Yeah, totally. Like what Lisette said, like the way she said it, that's the way I usually say it. Like uh sometimes when you're working with speaking skills, right? Sometimes you find students saying three things at the same time. Now, like they have this idea that they have the idea of what they want to say, but they're saying it in three different ways at the same time because they're not used to organizing the elements of what they want to say. Like, what are you talking about, or who are you talking about? Because that's your subject. You have to define the subject, and that's language, your L1, your first language interference, no? Because, like, for example, if you're a Spanish speaker, uh, that language, or French speaker, the elements in your sentence don't always follow the same structure or the same order. You have a lot of flexibility that you don't have in English. No, so writing does that for you. No, it helps you. It helps you see, right in front of you, the order of the elements. How you're supposed to place them.
Right.
And yes, exactly. Is just as he said. What I don't like, I do have to say this. What I don't like about Peterson is that every time he says something uh, like that, he says it as if it was some sort of divine revelation, and his fans do that
No,
too. Like, oh my
he said
God,
that. He said,
Peterson
I don't
just
know
blew
why
my mind.
people, I don't know
Anybody who
why it's
studied
not obvious. He said it. He
what?
said, I don't know why. He said it. I don't know why this isn't so obvious to
It
people.
is, dog. That's what I'm saying. He says that about everything he says. Like, he comes up with these old ideas when he talks about God, and when he talks about, I think this is a conversation for some other session, but
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're familiar with pedagogical methodologies, this is evident. Like, it's not like, wow, Peterson just blew my mind. No, you just didn't know about
But
this.
that's not the way it happens. I'm gonna tell you a story real quick. When I once I was teaching a class, and then I told them, okay, I explained them subject, verb, complement. This is the way you organize. Let's write an essay, okay? So these guys are writing their essays. Everyone is all right except one of them. He was like very well dressed and everything. And then I asked them, hey, I read his essay and I go, man, you only had to give me introduction, body, and conclusion, subject, verb, complement, connector, subject, verb, complement, connector, period. That's all you had to do. And everybody understood that, but this guy didn't. It was a disaster, like everything, like it was a mess. And then I told him, let's do something. Write this essay in Spanish, in your native language. So he did, and he wrote it, you know, and then I read it in Spanish, and then I said, "Oh, that's the problem. You're a mess yourself. I mean, the way you think is all a mess. You don't put your ideas together. And I asked them, okay, what do you study? You know, and then he said communication. He studied communication, and I say, God, well, maybe he studied communication in a in a very bad school. And I said, all right, that's possible. Where do you study communication? Where do you go to school? And then he said, Tec de Monterrey. I say, wow, one of the most prestigious schools, so-called prestigious schools in Mexico for the communication career. And it wasn't obvious, that's what I'm getting there, to your teachers, that the first thing you needed to learn was to write. you know so I think the system is not always focused on that skill, that, like, why are you in university if you can even write? You understand that from kids. So I think, well, that this is my new revelation for me, because next year I will make my students write a journal. I won't ask them to. I think writing is a, a basic need to to learn and improve your language. What do you think of my idea? Do you think I'm too crazy if I make them write a journal?
No, no, no. It's perfect. Actually,
Please
that's
said
what.
that, listen.
No. Ah, yes.
So writing will be good. Yeah, please, Lizette.
I totally agree. Because I told you, when you're writing, like it's focused. Because we're also used to, maybe, for example, when it comes to languages, the structure is not the same as your mother tongue language, which in my case is in Spanish, for example. You say the adjectives before the subject. Sometimes it depends, because it changes. So while writing in your native language, it helps you to clarify your ideas, and that's also not a very easy skill, because you say, no, I mean, they teach you to write in elementary school. Yeah, but it's not the same, actually. When I realized that at my university, we had a subject that it was called writing skills. It was in Spanish,
Mm.
and it was way tougher than I thought it would be, because I was like, come on, I already know Spanish. What else can I learn from it? And it was really tough, and it was totally different from normally I write. I have a journal, because I do have my journal, and I
Mm.
sometimes I need just to let out things, so I write them down. And also helps, it's like a therapy also, not only to your brain, but also emotionally. It's very powerful too. So, and actually, I know that some psychologists say that when you have so much emotional situation in your life right now, write it down as a therapy. Just write it down, and if you finish and then you read it, and leave it like 3 days, and you read it again, you will be like very impressed of what you wrote over there. So not only as a language learning skill, but also like in the everyday life, it's a very important skill.
All right. Yes, I completely agree. So you have a journal, so I'm not that crazy. And you, Nisan, what do you think about that? Give me an answer.
Yeah, yeah. Too sad that you needed Peterson to let you know journals are an amazing tool. No, I'm just kidding.
I did.
But but it's let me put it this way, like does it doesn't even matter which level my students are in. If I see that they have a problem with organizing their ideas, I tell them you need to have a diary or a journal, or at least you need at least 3 days a week. You need to sit down for at least 5 minutes. You don't have to sit there for a whole hour. Now, at least 5-10 minutes, and write something. You know, like structure 3-4 sentences, because you need to develop that habit. Because that's like I think we all agree, no? For me, it's one of the most practical ways to learn how to organize your thoughts. Now, the problem here that I've found is that students won't do it. It's really difficult for them to actually, you know,
Sit down and write.
sit down and do it. Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
okay, I need to encourage my students to do it.
Yes,
And
that's true.
yeah,
Me
yeah.
too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Get a
that's
journal.
true. But actually, feel that also journal can help you acknowledge more things. Not only the languages, but also they help you to acknowledge many things because we live in a rush constantly, all the time. So our head is, going crazy all the time, all day long. So whenever you just take a minute to sit and write something on a journal, you can acknowledge many other things that are happening in your life that you didn't have any idea about it. It could be, a language skill that maybe you need to improve, a dream that you want to have or to accomplish, feelings that you had during the day that maybe no one actually asked you if you're okay or not. It's more than only to write, it's way more than only to learn. But also it helps you to learn, of course, but
Right.
beyond
And to
that.
confirm, come to confirm, no, that
Yeah, it
knowledge.
goes beyond uh, the, the
The
language learning.
fact of just writing. Right,
Right.
exactly. Okay. Okay. So that was it about that. And I wanna touch another topic, a very interesting topic with you, Lizette, because TKT, you are an expert in this. You have taken it, and from what you said, you can prepare a person to take. What did they teach you in the TKT? What's a TKT?
Well, actually, it's test knowing teaching, and and in my experience, how I did it was I finished my TDC course, which is the teaching course from Cambridge, and right away the teacher asked you, told us, you know what, you're ready to take the three TKTs, and I was like, what? I had no idea what was it at the moment, so I was like, what's that? And he told us, well, it's a certification that will help you to have a paper that tells you that you know how to teach. And I was like, okay, do I need to have a special preparation besides the TDC course? And he was like, no, you just go there. And that was like, it sounds so easy, but I don't know where's the catch. I was like, sounds like not so realistic. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to into my manuals of the TDC course again, really deeply, and I'm going to present them. Like, okay, if I can achieve the band, I think it's a band three of all that will be great. If not, well, I did my best. And actually, I just did it in one day. They gave us the three TKT exams. It was a very exhausting day. I remember we went from 6 a.m. to like 12 p.m. It was like one after another. So we were like, okay, I was with my classmates with to this course, and we were not talking like, how do you feel during the exam? And she was like, it was kind of easy after you take the TDC course, because in this TKT they ask you like things that comes from the course. So it was for me like the exams from the TDC course. So I was like,
Ah.
okay, this is more to know. Like, for example, ask you, if you have a group of students and one of them is behind the knowledge of the others, what would you do? Would you approach to this student? Would you go by you just leave the student by him or herself? What would you do? This type of more pedagogical questions. So I was like, okay, maybe by taking the TDC course and knowing the what it comes on the TKT exams, maybe I can achieve it. And yes, that's how I did it. I personally, that's how I did it. And I was like, okay,
Okay.
for people that has this high level in English, because you need to have a high level in English, because they don't
Right.
ask you, like the TOEFL test questions and so on. It's a total
Okay.
different type of questions. So I was like, yeah, why not prepare people for the TKT? I mean, of course they need to have a certain level, because I'm not going like way back to, you know, to clarify maybe some questions, but that's all, not to teach from zero the language and so on. And I was like, hey, why not trying it? So I started to
Okay.
doing it, and hopefully everything is being great. I have the 3 TKTs, and I hope my students to reach their band 3 TKT of each one of them.
Wow. Okay. And in the TDC, or rather than the TKT, what did you learn there that you haven't learned or that you couldn't have learned in your actual teaching career?
Well, actually, it's like the pedagogical situation. For example, the thing that I had no idea is that attention span from kids, it's 10 minutes. So you have to be quickly. So you have to be very dynamic. For example, these kind of key things that you don't usually maybe pay attention to. So, or maybe,
Mm.
you know, the type of way you can teach other people, because sometimes, well, as far as my, my background, I've learned through the conventional system, the conventional method. But I realized with the TDC course that that method was not the best idea for most of the students. I learned the, you know, the task based learning. So they taught us to give the, you know, the lesson, but through activities, like practical activities. So I was like, you know what, this is actually very helpful, because it actually tells me how to use programming and when to use it, not only like memorize it and repeat. Because I mean, I could memorize it and repeat it as much as the teacher asked me to, but when do I actually learn it? And actually,
Mm.
it was very interesting because it opened my mind a lot. It was like, I don't know, my mind just exploded and expands to a whole new different level.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nisan, do you have a question? Do you have a comment you want to add on that?
Yeah, I think I comment on a question. Yeah, I think the TKT it's a great option out there for people that are already proficient in the language and they're interested in teaching, but they've never really done it, or perhaps they've done it in the past, but they really want to grasp the basic terminology. Now, like for example, I think the first TKT, because I also did like three of them, but I think the first one is what's a verb, what's a noun, what's a, you know
Yes.
how it helps you how to define the parts of speech and stuff. And then the other ones are, yeah, more methodological things. So, but it's not as heavy as other courses out there. It's not as expensive. So I think it's a great choice.
Right.
And the question I have is, I am not familiar with the TDC. What does TDC stand for? Like, I don't really know.
Teacher
As
development or
a teacher's
certification?
diploma course from
Teacher's
Cambridge.
diploma course. Ah, okay, okay,
Teacher's diploma
right,
course from Cambridge. Yes.
okay, right.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, it's connected with the TDC. It's connected but are not the same, but it's from Cambridge. But I mean, if you want to teach, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, as you said, it's a very good economical way to learn how to teach with the TDC and the TKT. That's like put them like together, because I think that it's like a thing to mix both of them.
Okay.
What would be like a main difference between TKT and TDC?
I think the TDC is
Well,
the
the
course and the
TKT is
TKT
that
is.
What is a course
is
too?
the exam, yes, but it's weird because when you finish the TDC, which is they give you a diploma and and a Cambridge certification, but also the TKT is like to, if you have the TDC already, it's like to put up your TDC course. It gives you more value, but also it kind of like give you an extra. For example, if
Oh,
you only
okay.
have the TKT, but you took like the preparation course for the TKT,
Okay.
actually, I could, in my personal opinion, and as a little secret, I think that TKT is almost the same. different
Okay,
type of
okay,
certifications, but if you have both of them, it gives you more value, honestly.
cool.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
All right. Well, yeah. And then, have you ever attempted, or is it in your mind, probably to take a Celta, Delta anytime?
Maybe, but the problem is timing. Honestly, that's the main problem. Timing. I would
Time.
love to, but right now I don't have like time. I'm very, tight on my timing. I have a lot of things to do. Honestly, I have like no idea how those certifications are actually. I'm not going to say that I know because I actually don't, but I'm going
Ah,
to,
okay.
go deep down the rabbit hole of those type of certifications and see if that because it's something that it's very important to have. If you already have, the TKT or the TDC, why not to have something like that?
Right.
Of
Right.
course, the problem is timing.
Adriana, thanks from Argentina. We say hi, hi, hi to Argentina. Man, we've been very international. We had
Hi.
people from Somalia. We had people from Ecatepec. We had people from
Some Facebook users.
some Facebook users. We had you, Nissan. You come what planet is it? Anyway, so you're from Mexico City, Lizette. Where are you?
Yes, I'm from Mexico City, been here my whole life. Although I
All
wish
right.
someday maybe to move to another place, but right now I'm being here.
Yes. What place would you like to move?
Yeah, where you guys from? Because oh my, I don't know. Right now the whole world is a mess. So honestly,
Right.
I don't know because it's like if I know that I moved to somewhere else, it will be like the same mess but different place. Right now at this
Right.
moment, no idea. At the beginning, I was dreaming of maybe to move to Canada or somewhere like that. But
Okay.
right now, no. I mean,
Just the
that's
same. No,
impossible for the
I'm in
moment.
this. I'm in the South Peninsula, the Yucatan, and now I'm moving to the Northern Peninsula in Baja. So I don't know. Yeah, it's probably the
Wow, from
same,
one
but
extreme to the other.
right, right. From the jungle to the desert.
Did you move last week? I thought you had moved last week.
No,
Exactly.
I'm moving this Tuesday. I
Okay.
mean, this upcoming Tuesday. So yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, so
Pretty
okay,
actually.
let's. I'm sorry.
Extreme.
Yeah.
That was pretty quick actually. Like really
Right, right. No, I was in Yucatan I've been in Yucatan for 5 years, and now it's my turn to, you know, go to the next stream of the country. Let's see what's up in there. Anyway, I wanted to ask you something. Like now that you've reached a certain, I mean, a high level in English, and you said you started learning when you were in kindergarten. So you even got to that certification level. Now you're teaching English. Now you're a good teacher. How do you keep up with your English level? How do you keep learning? How do you keep progressing in the language?
well, it different things. For example, of course, as a translator, I get a lot of work, so I learn a lot of terminology, specialized terminology, and so on. So that vocabulary, just I learned it by heart. And I think he left us.
Don't worry, don't worry. He's probably backstage. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
So,
okay, okay,
but
perfect.
yeah. We'll give you time.
Well, it depends. Okay, perfect, perfect. I'll wait.
Oh no, don't worry. He either had to
Yeah, internet connection.
go to
No.
the bathroom real quick. No, I don't know, or maybe he had a problem with his Wi-Fi. But yeah, that don't mind him. He'll be right back. Well, let me ask you. Let me. I do have
Okay,
a
you said it.
yeah. I did have a question before? Like I heard in during your introduction that you studied the conventional way, like I did actually,
Yes.
and I was curious about which aspects of this conventional method you studied do you still keep? Like which ones do you use in your practice?
In my practice,
Yeah.
well, actually, I don't know. I haven't, make a knowledge about it. Mm, maybe to maybe the reading aspect, but you know, because
Okay.
most of the things that I learned from English didn't come from a classroom or a book in the
Ah,
conventional
okay.
method, because there are many expressions and so on that they don't actually teach you in a book or the teacher in in normal school.
Of
So
course.
honestly, not so much maybe in reading part, the writing part,
Okay. Okay.
listening and speaking changed a lot because on the classroom they teach you something and you have to stick with it, and then when you go outside of the bubble of learning bubble, and you go outside to an English speaking country, you're like, wow, this expression I never heard it before, or
Yeah.
why is the pronunciation different, why, these small details. So I pay attention to these small details to put them on my English like knowledge in my brain. But those type of knowledge didn't come from the method, the conventional method, honestly. So
Okay. Okay. So you don't keep you don't keep many things from
oh,
that
thank
method.
you so much, Adriana.
All right.
All right,
No,
good.
not so much. Maybe for some students, for example, I have a student that she learns like she's a very methodistic person. So for
Mhm.
her to teach her, tenses and grammar, yes, I go, with the basic, like the formula, we have subject, verb, just like that. But that's the way that she learns. But not
Okay.
everyone learns like that.
Of
So it
course.
depends on the student also, the way if I use it like that or not.
All right.
All right. Hey, Lisette, it was a pleasure. I'm sorry, but I'm back. I
Yes,
mean, internet. Sometimes is not our best friend.
it's okay, don't
But
worry.
now we're back. We really appreciate your visit. Your virtual visit right here to the Teacher Talk podcast. I hope is. I mean, I know it's the first one, but
Oh,
I
thank
hope
you
it's
so
not the last
much.
one. So, we appreciate that.
Yeah, me too.
And
I hope so. I had a great time.
thank you very much. Why don't you let people know your email address and your phone number so maybe they can call you if they need some personal help.
Yes, sure. My email, as you can see it on the screen, it's lisetga92 at gmail.com. And well, my phone, which actually I use it more for spam, is plus 52, depending on, of course, on the place where you're texting me. 55 74 66 59 50, 54. So you can contact me over there through WhatsApp. You can send me a message, and I'll be more than glad to help you.
All right, guys. So you already know. You already know. Every week we have a different guest, and this morning it was Lizette. Very well prepared teacher. So if you need some personal help, maybe no, maybe
Thank you so
definitely
much.
she will be able to help you. All right. So Lizette, give me your last. Well, actually, no, Nissan, give me your last comment.
Well, thank you very much, Lisette, for joining us. I hope you can join us some other time. I think I have some questions about translation and translation methods. So I'm interested. I think that is fascinating. And Cam, thank you for having me. Thank you for putting up
Sure.
with me.
All right, all right, all right. Well, my name is Teacher Cam, and I will see you next week. But since Lizette was our guest today, she's gonna say goodbye. So give your last comment to our crowd, and it's love to you. All right, thank you, Lizette. See you. Your last comment, please.
Thank you. Well, let's come and thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Cam and Nissan, for having me. It was such a lovely interview. I hope this is not the last time. I hope we have more interviews coming up. And I'll be more than glad to be here again.